Many thanks for joining on the Market Report show on ADBM. Dr. Braimoh is already on the other side to join me. A very good day to you, Dr. Braimoh.
And good afternoon to Nigeria.
Good afternoon to you, sir. Okay, sir, let's get the ball rolling and take a look at rescuing Nigerian manufacturing sector. From your own narrative, from your own understanding, what has really changed? Sir, hello, are you there?
Just hold on a bit. My system is...
Okay. No. Are you set?
Yeah, very set.
All right, now, from your own understanding, what has really happened to Nigerian manufacturing sector? A lot of narrative are here and there. But as an economist, as someone that has been in that sector for a while, what do you think is the main problem of the manufacturing sector of Nigeria?
Well, just like you have said, I happen to... Can you hear me?
Yes, very well, sir. I'm hearing you.
Okay, the Nigerian manufacturing sector has immense potential to drive economic growth, but it faces a lot of challenges. Some of these challenges are in terms of infrastructure, in terms of good road networks, foreign exchange difficulties, and then we also talk about the ability for them to access loans at good rates in the market. Energy problem is also a very difficult aspect of manufacturing in Nigeria. So basically, and also the tariffs, the custom tariffs which are being stated in the parallel market instead of the official rate is another challenge. Now, sometimes when they import these raw materials, port congestions, and all the bottlenecks at the port is another big challenge. So these are some of the things that are slowing down the manufacturing sector of Nigeria. Incidentally, I have worked in a manufacturing company for about 7 years, and I left them at the position of the finance manager of First Aluminium Nigeria PLC. So I had a clear understanding of what the challenges are in the manufacturing industry.
Very interesting, Doc. Now, let's now take each of these challenges one after the other. You made mention of foreign exchange. And manufacturers complain that the challenge they do have is that for them to import some of their raw material and some equipment and machinery, they find it difficult to get this forex. Why can't we just make it a first line charge for manufacturers to access forex in Nigeria instead of allowing them to go through some of these turbulent challenges in accessing forex? Why can't we just make it that way?
You are absolutely right. Access to foreign exchange, or what we call forex, is a major challenge for manufacturers, and it is significantly affect their ability to import raw materials.
All right, we are having a little bit of cut off network with Doctor, but I believe we'll be back. Okay, go ahead, sir.
This is far-reaching consequences for the sector and the broader economy. Now, the key impact of forex scarcity on manufacturing has to do with increased production costs. The cost of production, manufacturers struggle to source forex at official rates. And are forced to buy at excessive market rate. They are forced to buy instead of the official rate, and they are forced to buy at a specific parallel rate, driving up the cost of production. And this makes locally produced goods less competitive compared to cheaper imported alternatives. Another thing is the disruption in production. Limited forex means manufacturers cannot import essential raw materials and spare parts for machinery, and this leading to production delays or shutdowns. Many factories are operating below capacity today, which reduce efficiency. I remember that when I was the finance manager in First Aluminium, we were forced to be operating at 20% of the installed capacity. That's a big challenge. And of course, you have for fixed costs, which do not react to whether you are producing one product or you are producing a million. So the bottom line is affected seriously. Now, the inflationary pressure, higher costs of imported inputs translate into higher prices for finished goods, thereby worsening inflation. Consumers bear this brunt as essential manufactured goods become more expensive. And then we have a decline in investment. Foreign and local investors hesitate to invest in manufacturing when forex is unstable or inaccessible. And this slows down industrial growth and economic diversification efforts. Now, I don't know if you want me to profile solution to this challenge, I can go ahead.
We are coming to that level, but let's quickly take the challenges that the manufacturers themselves have highlighted. In my intro, I did mention that the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria came out and said over 350 billion are unsold goods, and over 764 of them have left the market space of Nigeria because of some of the challenges that are confronted with. And you also have alluded to that because you were once a staff in one of the aluminium manufacturing companies in Nigeria, and you alerted us to understand some of the challenges that you guys have faced. Another challenge that they have been mentioned very critical is about tariff. What do you make of the tariff? I've heard several analysts, economists talk about tariff, although government on its own side want to make money for the people as a way of revenue. So what is so wrong about this tariff that manufacturers are complaining against the government and against the institution of governance in Nigeria?
As a partaker of the manufacturing sector of Nigeria, the issue of import tariffs that is being calculated at parallel market rates by the Nigeria Customs Service has severely impacted manufacturers in Nigeria. This policy makes it more expensive to bring in essential raw materials and machinery, worsening production costs and threatening business survival. Now, some of these negative impacts of high import tariffs on manufacturers is that it increases the cost of production. When import duties are calculated at the parallel market exchange rate, which is often much higher than the official rate, manufacturers end up paying far more than expected. And this raises the cost of imported raw materials, machinery, and spare parts, making local production expensive. And now we talk about a higher price for consumers. Manufacturers, they pass on this high cost to consumers, leading to increased prices for locally made goods. And this fuels inflation in the economy and reduces consumers' purchasing power. Another one is the competitiveness decline. The Nigerian manufacturers, they struggle to compete with imported goods, especially from countries with better production environments. Some businesses are forced to shut down and others relocate to countries with friendlier policies. The manufacturing sector contraction is another negative. Many industries, especially SMEs, they struggle to survive because of expensive imports. Factory closures and job losses become more common, and this worsening unemployment in the country. And the final one that I have is the reduced foreign investment. Unpredictable tariffs discourage foreign investors who need a stable business environment. You agree with me?
Exactly.
Because these people are in business because they want to make profit. So investors prefer countries with clear, business-friendly import policies.
Very interesting from you, Doc. Now, apart from tariff that manufacturers have complained so much about, there's these little ones that they also, although very crucial to them and very depleting to their productive sector, is the issue of taxes and penalties and fees. And most of these fees and charges or penalties come from state government and local government. What do you make of it? although the current tax reform of the government is trying to harmonize some of these charges, fees, and the rest of them, but as we speak right now, it is still being demanded on the manufacturer to pay some of these taxes, some of these fees, and some of these charges by government, either local government or state government. I know you are in Port Harcourt, you are in River State. I know you must have witnessed some of this kind of thing on the manufacturing sector of Nigeria. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, this is one of the issues that we discussed at the Institute of Economics and Policy Management, IPEPM, recently. And we try to talk about the excessive taxes, the levies and penalties that are being imposed on manufacturers, both from the federal, the state, and local government in Nigeria. And these are a major burden that worsens an already hostile regulatory environment. Instead of fostering industrial growth, the complex tax system discourages investment. It increases the cost of doing business and weakens the manufacturing sector. Now, how does these excessive taxes and penalties affect these manufacturers directly? Number one is the multiple taxation from different tiers of government. Manufacturers are subject to a wide range of taxes and levies from federal, state, and local governments, often for the same activities. And these multiple taxes significantly erode manufacturers' profits, forcing them to either increase prices or cut down on production and jobs. Then the high and arbitrary penalties. The regulatory agencies such as NAFDA, SON, and the Customs Service, they impose heavy fines and penalties for minor infractions. Many penalties lack transparency and are sometimes enforced selectively. Also leads to unstable and confusing tax policies. The frequent introduction of new taxes or sudden increase in tax rates creates uncertainty for businesses. For example, the recent hike in excise duties on beverages and alcohol has significantly affected the manufacturers in those sectors. It also discourages investment and industrial growth. High makes Nigeria an unattractive destination for sectors. Are now forced to move to more friendly, countries or operate at a reduced capacity. It also encourages informal sector and tax evasion. Because of the complex tax system, it pushes many businesses into the informal economy, where they avoid taxes altogether. Others under-declare revenue or engage in tax evasion, leading to loss of, government revenue.
And Doc, having said so much around this issue of penalties and the rest of them, there are some analysts like you, expert economists like you, even tax experts, because you are a tax expert, a chartered tax consultant in Nigeria, who understand how tax work. But they believe that the regulatory environment is too hostile to some manufacturers in Nigeria. Do you share in that light?
The hostility of the manufacturing to me, I think the overbearing regulatory environment in Nigerian manufacturing sector is a serious threat to industrial growth and economic development. While regulations are necessary to ensure quality control, consumer protection, and environmental sustainability, the way they are enforced in Nigeria has become a major obstacle to business survival. And the key issues you'll be looking at: the excessive and arbitrary fines, intimidation and harassment of manufacturers. Many businesses face intimidation, including threats of shutdown, confiscation of goods, or unnecessary legal action. You won't believe that some regulatory officers exploit bureaucratic processes to frustrate manufacturers, sometimes demanding informal payment to resolve disputes. And these disproportionate sanctions for minor infractions, which I have mentioned, small administrative mistakes such as incorrect labeling or minor paperwork errors, they often attract severe penalties that can cripple a business.
Now, Doc, very interesting. Okay, sir. I really love your submission in this regards of what many Nigerians have talked about the manufacturing sector that stakeholders are also raised concern about. But there is one that most of us see with our clear eye that is affecting not just the manufacturing sector alone, but including you and I, the transport sector, the infrastructural sector. Now, many have credited that government need to take a look at how transportation challenge or logistics is affecting distribution of goods and services in Nigeria. What's your take on that, sir?
The impact of transportation and logistics challenges in the manufacturing sector cannot be overemphasized. Nigeria's transportation and logistics challenges, they significantly impact the manufacturing sector, increasing costs, reducing efficiency, and limiting competitiveness. Poor infrastructure, inefficient logistics network, and security concerns always times make it difficult for manufacturers to transport their raw materials and finished goods. Now, you may want to know the key transportation and logistics challenges that the manufacturers in Nigeria are facing. Number one is poor road infrastructure. Over 90% of goods in Nigeria are transported by road, but many roads are in bad condition, leading to frequent accidents, delays, and increased vehicle maintenance costs. The lack of proper road network causes supply chain bottlenecks, especially in the industrial hubs like Lagos, Kano, and Onitsha. The port congestion is another one. Port congestion and inefficiency. The Nigerian major ports like the Apapa, the Tinkan, the One, they suffer from severe congestion, causing long delays in clearing raw materials and machinery. And don't forget that the monies that were used to procure these raw materials, they are running interest in the bank because most of the manufacturing companies, they are running their business with borrowed funds. This bureaucratic bottleneck, corruption, and inefficiencies in customs, they further slow down import and export. Talk about the high port charges and demurrage costs, which make production more expensive. We have the poor rail and inland waterway network. Of course, you know that the Nigerian railway system is underdeveloped, limiting manufacturers' ability to move large volumes of goods efficiently. The inland waterways are underutilized, despite Nigeria having vast navigable, rivers, and this increased pressure on the road network. The high transport cost is another, factor. Due to the bad roads and the fuel price instability, manufacturers spend excessive amounts on transporting their goods. You agree with me that logistics costs in Nigeria is among the highest in Africa.
I think I have to
more expensive than imported alternatives.
Exactly, Prof. I have to agree with you. Just recently, the PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, released a report about logistic challenge in Nigeria, and they make it a high point that out of the 10 countries in Africa that are having these challenges, Nigeria was top on the list, and it has become a big problem to our economy on the long run. But Prof, let's begin to run down and look at solutions to some of these challenges that we have identified and see how government can take a cue from some of these solutions and recommendations I'm going to make for them on this platform. First and foremost is the issue about poor investment in the manufacturing sector in Nigeria. How can we address, or how can the government help to address the poor investment in the manufacturing sector in Nigeria?
Investment by the federal government,
including the states, not just federal government alone.
Infrastructure we're talking about. And then we also talk about the foreign exchange. Now look at the power supply. In Nigeria, the manufacturing sectors, I think their rate has gone up by 250% for energy.
Exactly.
Making it very difficult for manufacturers to handle. And they now have to resort to using alternatives, generating energy by themselves, which itself is very expensive. And this again will go to the bottom line to increase the cost of producing a unit. And of course, the price in the market will go up. Now we're talking about infrastructure, good road networks, provide the good roads so that the movement of products from maybe the city center to the hub of the suburbs would be easier for the manufacturers to handle. On the side of, we're talking on the side of the infrastructure now. We're not talking of other bottlenecks that manufacturers are suffering in terms of foreign exchange issues, tariffs, and all manner. So federal government has a whole lot to do, and the government, the federal level, at the federal level, the state level, at the local level, they need to actually join hands to make the manufacturing sector to have a good way of doing their, making their product available for consumer at a very good rate.
Now, Doc, one key argument that Manufacturer Association of Nigeria has been pushing in the last 2 years when the increment of electricity came out was that it must come down. This 250% hike in electricity tariff must come down. Are you also in that argument that it must come down, or there should be a balance or a midway?
Please let me get that question clear. I didn't hear you well.
All right, what I'm saying is that in the last 2 years, Manufacturer Association of Nigeria has been calling that the 250% electricity tariff hike must come down. Although they are not giving a specific number that they want, but they are just agitating that it must come down. So in your own argument, your own understanding, do you think we should have a middle range, or it should just come down as low as 50% or 70%?
The point is this. Let me be very clear here. Cost is what you pay. Value is what you get. Now, first of all, we need to look at the whole energy sector in Nigeria. What is the percentage availability for a run? Manufacturing most times are in process costing, process manufacturing. And then you have a number of hours that machines have to run in a day. Now, most of the time, not up to 20% of the time for production is energy from the federal government available. I strongly recommend that we need to look at the quantity of energy that is made available to the manufacturers vis-a-vis the charges that they are being given. I was speaking to a very minor manufacturer some few days ago, and he said to me that the bill they gave to him for the month of February was 5 million. Now, the total production in terms of the value of goods that he has for sale are not up to 5 million.
All right, we're expecting a connection with Prof, and he hopes to give us a light on that regard, talking about a variation between what the electricity tariff hike is all about. People are saying, particularly the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria is saying that this must come down to the level that Nigerians can afford, particularly the manufacturing sector can afford. Although they didn't give a specific number.
Let me just break in there. The problem we have with Nigeria is this. Remember that when MTN and Airtel came into business, they made us believe that we can only make calls per minute. They can't charge per second. The point is that they wanted to recover all their costs. The costs are supposed to be spread over a number of years. They want to recover within few years. But when Glo came in, Glo bring a plug in their spanner, and today people are paying per second. So what is happening is that you cannot work as a government because you have invested so much in generating equipment that will generate energy. Then you want to recover that amount. Those are long-term investments. So it is expected that your charges should be such that will be, the manufacturers and every household will be able to afford it for their businesses. So I strongly believe that the 250% increase is too excessive, and it should be at least half of that.
That's about 125%.
Yes, 25%.
125%. Good enough from you, from your suggestion, Doc. Now let's take another issue that is quite interesting, that we want recommendation on that regard. Tariff, import tariff, import tariff, import tariff. This has been a bottleneck for manufacturers on their spare part of their equipment, on their manufacturing machine and the rest of them, particularly for pharmaceutical product and pharmaceutical engagement. I've complained so much that the reason why we saw those forming pharmaceutical company left was that because of import tariff. What is your take on import tariff? Some are saying it should be suspended on pharmaceutical product or another, essential commodity. Some are saying we should have a moderate tariff on them. What's your take on that, sir?
Now, what can be done as it pertains to this is they need to harmonize these tariffs. Let these tariffs be raised in alignment with the official rate. Because as of today, they are done at the parallel rate, at the parallel market rate. So they need to use official exchange rate for custom duties. The government should ensure that import tariffs are calculated based on the official exchange rate, not parallel market rate. This will more predictably and reduce excessive costs for manufacturers. Then you can reduce import duties on critical inputs, lower or remove tariffs on raw materials that these manufacturers are using, the machinery that they use, and essential spare parts to support local production. And this will boost industrialization and reduce reliance on imported finished goods, which most of the time are, don't meet the quality of the product that is being manufactured locally.
Dr. Braimoh,
then you can harmonize these tariff policies. The Nigerian Customs Service should adopt a transparent and stable tariff structure to prevent unexpected cost hikes. A one-rate policy would improve business confidence and planning.
Exactly. Doc, I really appreciate you.
We can also encourage local production of inputs.
Exactly. Doc, I really appreciate you.
Such as tax breaks and grants to support companies that produce raw materials locally.
Doc,
investing in local manufacturing clusters will also reduce dependence on imports over time.
Exactly.
Then we can also streamline the custom processes.
Exactly.
This will enable us to reduce the bureaucratic process and corruption that are happening at the ports.
Exactly. Doc, I really appreciate your input this afternoon on our show today, and quite laudable that you have made some valuable suggestions that will go a long way to help us to rescue our manufacturing sector. Thank you so much, Doc, for being on the show today. It's quite enlightening and quite advocating that you could put out some of these suggestions for Nigerians to hear, for Nigerians to see, and for Nigerians to be part of it today. Thank you so much, Dr. Braimoh, for being on the show, The Market Report, ADBN Television.
Thank you for having me.